Hey, John Hickok here. Today we're going to take a look at one of the rarest AK variants out there, not currently produced anymore, the AKS-762, exported by Polytech. And it's a side folder, which makes it even more rare. Now, the AKS-762s can still be obtained places on the secondhand market, of course, but they are pretty rare themselves. But this being this particular type of side folder makes it incredibly rare. I do not know the exact numbers on how many of these were imported, but it's a very, very small number, and you will not find these very, very often. I'm very lucky to have found it, and we're going to talk about it today and shoot it some, and I think you'll enjoy it because this is a very cool AK. It's becoming one of my favorite firearms that I own very quickly. All right, let's start out with taking a few shots of it. Few shots of it or with it, and we'll go from there. Got the banana mag in it, mag pull, 30 rounds. Let's go ahead and start out on the big square over there. Kind of get it dialed in. I think the sights are pretty much on. All right, let's try something a little smaller. The middle plate with the insert. All right, let's try that smallest plate over there, little swinger. Get it? Yeah. Try it again. All right. It's a good shooter. All right, let's take out the burn barrel. Doesn't look like it has enough holes in it. Look at that. It's perforated. Now, before I get into some details about this gun, of course, as always, do something like that. Okay, so the 762, or the AKS-762 Polytech. So it's a Chinese AK variant, and it's one that was, of course, imported quite a while ago because of various unconstitutional gun laws keeping us from getting cool AKs over here. Oh yeah, first I'll show you this. So this gun is startlingly easy to bump fire, as you saw there, and that wasn't even the cleanest version of that. I wasn't even trying that hard. It's just like so easy that I don't even have to put that much effort in it, but it requires maybe a little more than I did there. But I've noticed that the top piece of the handguard, it tends to slide over a little bit whenever I do that because of the grip that I have to have to do it. But part of the reason that it bump fires so easily is because it's very hot right there, and also it has a great trigger. It has a very, very light trigger, and it is a Chinese trigger. So a lot of you guys are probably familiar with the fact that on these imported guns like AKs, you have to have a certain number of imported of U.S. parts, right? It can't be completely foreign parts. Well, this is a pre-ban. It was imported before 1989, the import ban of 1989 that I believe, as usual, was one of those gun laws that came after a shooting, and so they decided to take more of our rights away, unfortunately, to limit our rights. And one of them was making it much more difficult to import things like this, which is what makes this AK very, very rare. Now, it's hard to, I couldn't find a ton of information on this particular side folder, but I was able to read some things, and I know that they were trying to, so there's a lot to digest here. So in the 80s, the AK was really not that popular in America, partially because, I think people had a mental block against it because it's Chinese, it's not American made. We just gotten out of the Vietnam War not that long ago. It's the commie gun, all that kind of stuff. And the AR was still king. And honestly, at that time, not even that many people had rifles like that. You know, the gun culture was not what it is today back then. You know, like when Dad had his AR-15 Colt A2 at that time in the mid 80s, like not many people had those. That was like kind of almost like an extreme thing to have at that time, is in the sense of like just not many people had them. It's honestly just more recently where, you know, the culture has shifted to where more people have these, which is great. So it's kind of a weird thing to even comprehend that there was a time when a gun like this wasn't necessarily that popular. So in an effort to increase sales, the Chinese knew that Americans were all tall, like not like me. They were all pretty tall, and that we didn't necessarily love the shorter stock, right? And so part of the reason that they put this on here, and this is now they call it the Galil folder. I do not believe it is an exact Galil stock. I don't think they were ripping stocks off of Galils and putting them on here. I could be wrong on that. I'm not the ultimate AK expert. I just know a little bit about this specific gun, but I believe it is it's just a Galil style folder. I think that they were making. Someone correct me if I'm wrong, if you know that. But I did read that the reason for that was to add length, and this gun is perfect for me because being 6'8", just like Dad, you know, I need that extra length. And also on top of that, it's an incredible side folder. So easy to use, you know, just this button, not even that much spring tension, very, very solid. I mean, look at that. There's no wobble in that thing whatsoever. I mean, it's bizarre how solid it is. And then just a light spring tension, very easy to push button. You know, it goes right to the side, kind of clicks in. There's a little tension to kind of hold it there, but it doesn't lock in, but you know, it kind of stays, and it's pretty easy to, you know, flip open and you're ready to go. I mean, it's the ultimate side folder, and it's a shame. It really is a shame that these are rare, because this is the best AK I've ever had my hands on. I mean, with the side folder and everything like that. But long story short, that's the reason they put this on here, to make it more marketable to the American market, which is even just a weird thought that they were having trouble selling these in the US. So back to why this thing is kind of rare. In 1989, it was much harder for them to import these because the restrictions after 89, they had to import them with thumb hole stocks, you know, and they couldn't have bayonet lugs on them. You know, the evil assault rifle features, some of those had to be removed. It was almost like kind of like a window into the 1994 crime bill, assault weapons ban. You know, so guns that were imported were sort of subject to, you know, something similar, which is what happened with this. This is an Egyptian Mahdi, and it came in after 89, I believe in like 1991, 92, something like that, like just before the crime bill. And it came in with a thumb hole stock. You can see here the bayonet lug was ground off, and it was converted, you know, back to this condition, either by the importer or the or just someone who bought it. I'm not sure which. But this came in as is. Now you don't see a bayonet lug on this, but it takes a special type of bayonet that, like, I don't have one, haven't found one yet, but it fits over the sight in some weird kind of way I don't fully understand. But it does accept a bayonet. This is a totally unmolested, other than the fact that it's semi-automatic and not full auto, AK. So let's shoot it some more. And there's a lot to talk about with this thing, so I don't want to dump too much info on you before we do some more shooting. So what we got here is a 40-round Chinese-made magazine. I got this with the rifle when I bought it. I don't know how hard these are to find, but I haven't run across one until recently. All right, get my eyes and ears on. I like these old steel mags. Even though they're much heavier, there's something cool about it. Oh yeah, I'll tell you this sling that I got on here. So I was at we were based out around the Nashville area, Tennessee, and there's a local armored surplus store called Friedman's. Some of you may know about it. And I went there and found a rifle sling, and I was kind of thinking I'd like to get some kind of like old leather sling for this. I thought it'd be kind of cool. and it didn't have any markings on it whatsoever. Didn't say where it was made, didn't say, all it said was rifle sling, and it was just rolled up, right? And I was thinking, my first thought was, well, whenever I see something that doesn't say where it was made, then it's probably made in China, right? Some cheap, like, Chinese made thing. And I was thinking, well, that's perfect, because I want to put it on a Chinese rifle. So worst case scenario, this sling is made for this rifle. And then I kind of configured it into a single point sling, because it's not actually made for this rifle, and it wouldn't really fit up here on the other sling attachment. So that's why it's like this. And it's not bad, you know, it gets the job done. I'm not exactly a tactical operator or anything. It works for me. All right. Look at that. That's quite a package right there. All right, let's take out some of these 2 liters. Look at that. One shot took them both out. All right, let's see if I can, I guess I shot low and hit the post. See if I think I can still see that one. If I can do it without hitting the steel. There we go. Shoot right under it. All right, that one's gonna be hard to not hit the steel. Let's take this one out. Let's get some of these bowling pins. All right, let's put a few on the target. Oh, bump fire on the target, why not? Let's get some pots. There we go. All right, let's go back over on the hill, do some more precision shooting. So let's go for the plate on the right. All right, let's try the bigger plate and the swingers there, or the, you know, where the 2 are swinging. All right, glasses are fogging up, can't see. There we go. Let's see. Let's take out this pink 2 liter. Let's take out both of them. Yeah, we got 40 rounds. All right, empty. Yeah, it's a really sweet shooter. I just always forget when you're shooting this stuff really close. You know, you've got the difference in, you know, between your sight and the bore, of course, you know, so I tend to shoot low. Think about that. Okay, so aside from the rarity of this, and then the, you know, the importation stuff and the small numbers of these things, these early Chinese imported AKs, or really any of them, I guess. I don't know what the Chinese government is using now, but they're considered to be some of the very best AKs ever made. And one of the reasons for that is because, so a little bit of the history on that, the Chinese started making the AK in around 1956 with the, you know, the Type 56 SKS and the Type 56 AK, which if you, the Type 56 AK is really easy to spot because it's got the spiker, it's got the bayonet that's attached that, you know, folds under, right? And the early ones were milled, and then at some point, after the Vietnam War, the Chinese and the Russians sort of had a falling out. So initially the Chinese were making guns sort of under direction, from what I understand, by the Russians. And then they kind of had a falling out with Russia, and then they decided to kind of make their own AK in their own way, and they chose to go with a stamped receiver, but they made some variations on the Russian design. So this Mahdi over here is an Egyptian AK, but it is essentially almost exactly a Russian AKM, because the Mahdi's AKs were basically Egyptian produced Russian AKs, and some of them were produced for the civilian market. And there's a lot I won't get into about that to make this video extremely long, but there's another video that you can check out on this rifle. But this is an example of an AKM. And what the Chinese did was they kind of had, it was sort of a marriage of the original AK-47 and the AKM, with some minor differences. Like, for example, it's a stamped receiver, but the gauge of metal is thicker. They used a 1.5 millimeter thick stamping, whereas the Russian was 1 millimeter, right? So that's one of the reasons that these are considered to be better built guns, just because the receiver is much thicker and more heavy duty for a stamped gun, especially. And just the fit and finish on these things is just immaculate. It's unbelievable. Just like when you take it apart, which I'll do here in a second, you know, you can just feel the quality, the way everything fits together, and still has that AK slop that you kind of want, but yet it just feels right. You know what I mean? Does that make sense? Another difference, you look at the top cover. So the top cover on this one, you know, it's ribbed for your pleasure, like the standard, you know, AKMs, and you'll see this on like the Wasser, you know, 10s and stuff, and some of the others. Whereas this is just smooth, like the original AK-47. Pull up some old photos of those. And the grip is more indicative of the AK-47 style. You know, we've got the little metal piece here, it kind of drops down versus this. It's just a little bit different. Also, the placement of this sling swivel up here, as you can see, is in a different spot on both of these. And also the Chinese were known for using this muzzle device up here, which was essentially a non-muzzle device, and it's just a thread protector, basically. That's all it is. So that's kind of interesting. Doesn't have a slant brake, or now this is supposed to have a slant brake on it. Ignore that muzzle device. That doesn't exist. You didn't see that. This is a slant brake right now, for the sake of this video, which I'll order one and put on there eventually. So I'm not sure exactly why these are considered to be such, or why they did such a good job on these, other than the fact that, you know, I'm thinking that maybe once the Chinese government decided that they were going to make their own battle rifle in their own way, that you know, they put more care into it, you know, because we're not just doing what the Russians are telling us to do. We're making our own, you know, Chinese AK, and they took pride in that, and they did an outstanding job. I'm actually surprised that these aren't even harder to find and more talked about than they are. I mean, they're very expensive, especially this variant. I got really lucky and bought it from a guy locally and got a really good deal on it. But, you know, I saw one of these going on Gunbroker one time for like $4,000, you know. So these are not very common. There are other more rare AK variants out there, like some of the original Steyr imports of the Mahdi, and especially there's even a side folder version of that, which probably costs even more than this. And then obviously you got transferable AKs, you know, which are incredibly rare and expensive. But as far as a standard semi-automatic AK pattern rifle, these are pretty rare. These are very hard to find. Like, try to find one, you'll have a hard time with it, with this side folding stock on it. And it's a crime that somebody does not should have brought a drink out here, that does not reproduce this stock, because it's incredible and it's long. It works great. I mean, it's just an unbelievable stock and setup rifle. Great trigger. The grip feels good. It's meatier, you know, than the standard you know, AK grip that I guess it's like the AKM style grip that you get on a lot of them. I mean, it's just unbelievable. And I didn't realize how well respected these Chinese AKs were. I always knew that they were sought after, but until I bought it and then started learning more about it, I didn't fully appreciate how they really are considered to be, I mean, dare I say, better than the Russian AKs. There's a lot of people who know way more about AKs than I do that will say that, and that's you know, that carries a lot of weight. So let's shoot it some more, and then I'll let you guys go, because I'm sure you have more important things to do. Actually, let me take it apart real quick, kind of show you the inside of it. We got loaded mag there. Okay. It's probably still super hot. Doesn't feel too bad. Yeah, that bolt is pretty hot, but so I'm not going to take it out. But as you can see there, you know, it's, of course, it's all dirty now, but it's just quality, you know. I mean, just I've messed with enough AKs where I can just kind of tell. Oh yeah, one thing I noticed is interesting. Notice how the hammer has kind of like this reddish, like maroon kind of tint to it, and I noticed that somewhere else. Yeah, up here, which yeah, this piece of metal right here. I'm not even sure what that would be referred to as. That's part of the yeah, it's sort of like part of the chamber, I guess, basically right there. I mean, it's sort of connected, I guess, to the trunnion. I don't know. Again, I'm not an AK expert, but it's got kind of that bronzish, not bronze, but kind of maroon color to it. And from what I've seen on firearms, typically that means it's a hardened steel. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. I'm theorizing about something that I'm not an expert on, but a lot of times when I've seen that on other firearms, it means that that is a hardened piece of metal. So, I don't know. You guys can attack me in the comments if I'm wrong. But like I said, I'm not an AK expert. I just like them, and I bought this one, and definitely thought you guys would want to check it out. And I don't feel like I could break this one. You know, it's pretty stout, like I did on the the C39. Let's slap the handguard down, and that's another thing. Or not the handguard, but the dust cover. The dust cover goes down easy breezy. That's like when I'm doing a video on an AK, whether it's on the main channel or the old channel, like I always start sweating when it comes time to put the dust cover on. It's like, all right, I'm about to look like an idiot, you know. But this one, watch me have trouble with it right now. But it just, look at that. I mean, it just goes on like a breeze. So this thing is very, very well made, you know, despite the negative connotations of things produced in China. This is the rare exception. These things are very, very well made. Can't speak highly about it more. You know what I mean? It's just, I'm very impressed with this AK. And you know I'm not trying to sell it because they basically don't exist. Good luck finding one. I can't believe I found this one. All right, let's shoot a few rounds and then we'll wrap up. Let's put my ultra tactical sling on here. Get my ears because it's pretty loud. All right, fire a few rounds and we might have to bump fire it again. Gotta take out this watermelon for sure. All right, make sure I don't hit any steel behind it. Wow, I did hit steel somehow, but if you look at the angle I was shooting, that bullet changed direction quite a bit because it hit the, see the bowling pin, the little red bowling pin that's dancing around right there? I mean, the angle I was shooting, it should have gone in between the big dildo target and the hanging tombstone, but it went all the way over there. Interesting. All right, let's take some shots over on the hill. Let's shoot the plate on the far left. Yeah, my glasses are like super fogged up. All right, put a couple on the big one. All right. Let's finish this thing out in the burn barrel. All right. So yeah, a lot of fun to shoot, and you know, it's got the cool added benefit of being able to bump fire, because you know, why not? It's for fun. You know, it's not practical. The government hates it. It's just for fun. And the stoppages I was having there, for those of you that don't know, if you are like certain people that can really hammer the trigger really fast without bump firing, sometimes you can get this thing where basically what happens is you pull the trigger basically too early, essentially, and the hammer will follow the bolt home as it's coming down, so you basically have a live round and it's not cocked, essentially, is what happened. And that's something that happens when you bump fire. It's kind of unavoidable. I've put mags through it doing that and not had it happen once, and then I've had it happen a couple of times like you saw there, so it's just kind of part of it. But this thing has been, other than that, it's been 100% reliable. You know, again, the AKS-762 Polytech, just a great gun. If you're looking for a really nice AK, you know, don't forget about some of these old imports that are out there, like the Polytechs or the Norinco. Like any of the Chinese AKs are considered to be very, very high quality. And then you've also got the Mahdi, which is essentially a Russian AKM that was made in Egypt by the Egyptians sometime around the mid to late 70s. So those are nice too. So don't forget that those exist. And I was happy to show you this gun. We'll probably bring it out again because I will never let this one go. Because if I did, I would never see one again probably. So there'll be other videos on it. We'll definitely get Dad shooting it. He loves this stock. He wants to steal it from me because it's incredibly long. But he can't have it. I won't let him have it. But anyways, I appreciate you guys for tuning in, and I'll see you on another one. Have a good one. Tired. It's a long walk from where I had to shoot that. Oh man. Oh hey, didn't see you guys there. Since you're here, I want to let you know about our friends over at Talon Grips and Ballistol. TalonGunGrips.com. Check out everything they have over there. You can get lots of different grips, the stick-on grip textures for your handguns and rifle grips, so go check them out. Also Ballistol, they're a firearms lubricant or anything else you might need lubricating. It's water soluble and non-toxic. Been using it on the compound and cleaning all of our guns. It's a cleaner and a lube for over 10 years. So Ballistol, Talon Grips, definitely check both of those companies out. And also, while you're on the internet, don't forget to go to hickok45.com. You can also find us on Facebook, Hickok45, Twitter, Hickok45, Instagram, The Real Hickok45, and also I have an Instagram page where I post behind the scenes stuff and different things like that. John, JOHN_HICKOK45 on Instagram. And the next thing you have to do is watch more videos.